child actor stuff, I mean, you went up for things. Was that as a consequence of your dad's?
Yeah.
You thought there's an opportunity to get probably 25% plus the paternal premium if you can get your part in a Hollywood film.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a couple of little child acting parts that I did. You know, sometimes it was in things that he produced. It was just crowbarring in his nepo baby and giving him one line. I think I got redubbed one of them because I developed a speech impediment on the day. I only had one line, which was, it's not a monster, it's a rabbit. And it's not a monster, it's a wabbit. Having never spoken like that before, but for some reason just completely froze up on the day. And then when they put it out, I was redubbed. And then, I auditioned for Harry Potter. That's quite a funny story. They did an open casting at the school, and they was announced that they were doing Harry Potter, which obviously was very exciting, and they were going to send a casting assistant to the Dragon at the time to do an open casting, and you could sign up for it. And I told my mum and dad, and was like, "That's great. Why should I, put myself forward and put my name down?" And my dad was like, "Oh no, it's a complete waste of time. No one's ever been cast from an open casting, and you'll just be it'll be an assistant's assistant, and they'll have no sway whatsoever. I'll get you in front of the actual casting director. We'll take you out of school." Arranged all of this, like complete narcissism, managed to get me picked up, got me a one-on-one interview with the casting director in London. I had not read the book, I'd done no preparation for the audition whatsoever, and completely flunked it. Terrible audition. My father was bitterly disappointed and dropped me back off at school, and then 3 weeks later we heard that Emma Watson had been cast from the open casting at the Dragon. By just signing up and going through the correct process, she had been cast and had her life changed.
Did Michael take it well?
Yeah, it was definitely brought up on multiple occasions subsequently.
That's lovely.
But I think it's a nice story of why nepotism doesn't work.
Well,
sometimes.
Yeah.
I loved art. I was basically at school, I was obsessed with drawing and painting and art. My dad is a huge art collector, and he kind of really nurtured that passion of mine. I went to my secondary school on an art scholarship. I left that school and went to the Chelsea School of Art as well. That was going to be my path in life. I was going to be an artist, and Chelsea School of Art. I always forget.
When was that? Sixth form or after sixth form?
No, that was after sixth form.
So you did A-levels and then you went to Chelsea School. That's when you were living at home for a year.
Yeah, and
right.
I was going to Chelsea School of Art and living with my mum and dad, it was like, I think I only did like 3 months, and I was like, oh, this isn't for me, and left and went off and did a
Why wasn't it for you? Because you weren't as good as you wanted to be, or?
Yeah, partly that, and also I guess I was just I don't know, maybe because I was brought up in this house where I was surrounded by all of these 20th century watercolours that my father collected, and quite traditional art, and I had quite a traditional approach, and I liked quite representational portraiture. And that's what I did. It was all a bit old-fashioned, and the Chelsea School of Art was this like vibrant, exciting place with all these, radical young people doing like really exciting contemporary art. And then I was just in the corner with my easel, wanting to paint paintings that looked like they belonged in the 18th century. So yeah, it wasn't a great fit.
But what about? We jumped ahead a bit, but we can always come back. What about ambition? I mean, did you have dreams of artistic success, or was it just one of those fortuitous situations where you were doing the thing that you loved, and it was also what you studied? I mean, would you, if I'd met you then and said, what are you going to be when you graduate or when you grow up, would you have said an artist?
An artist,
a watercolorist?
Yeah, a watercolorist. I would have genuinely. That's
rather charming.
It is rather charming, isn't it? And I had a painting. I was very excited. I can't remember where it was displayed, but some painting that was displayed in an art gallery, and I remember being so excited about that. And I used to do these portraits of like family friends. I painted a portrait of Edward Fox, who was one of my father's clients. I painted a portrait of my father, which they still have up in their house, that looks like he's got jaundice, but it's quite a good likeness. And would paint my friends as well when I was...
Do you ever get the brushes out?
No, I've literally never gone anywhere near it. I painted Giles Brandreth's wife's cat as well.
Okay. all the greats.
My claim to fame, a real humble brag. She asked me to do it, and she wanted me to do sittings as well. So I went round to their house
With the cat?
But yes,
Yeah.
I sat in a room with Giles Brandreth's wife's cat, and it obviously wouldn't sit still because it's a cat. I had to do 3 hours over the course of 5 weeks, and then
Were
at the
they
end
pleased?
of it,
Were they
yeah, they were pleased with what I. I just ended up, because the cat obviously was just running around the room. I ended up just googling the cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch and doing a pretty accurate copy of that and handing that in, and she seemed content.
You clearly never had a problem self-motivating and actually doing it all yourself. And in fact, I mean, given what would happen later with bad education and other projects, getting at the heart of a project and then getting everybody else around you as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of the stuff that I've done has been like driven by that, and not wanting to sort of wait around, and realizing that if I want to do something, then the best way that I can do it is to try and like produce it myself. And that play was a result of not being cast in any of the other plays that I was auditioning for at school.
Because the drama teacher didn't like you, I read somewhere.
Yes, he was not a big fan of mine, because I mean, fair enough, like he was wanting to do quite like dark dramatic pieces, and I was just wanting to dress up and fool around.
Yes.
So it wasn't a great fit. And so I was like, well, if I want to do a funny play, then I could just put one on myself. And the school were reluctant to let me do it, but they didn't stand in my way. And then I went to the Edinburgh Festival when I was 16, around that same time, and I suddenly saw all of this comedy and like sketch shows and people that were fresh out of universities going up there and performing in front of a paying audience. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah. I want some of that. So I went back to my school and was like, can we go up with something? And the drama teacher was like, no, it's a complete waste of time. You don't want to go up to the Edinburgh Festival. I've done it before. It's a terrible place. And I was like, that's not the right answer. And I'm not taking no for an answer. So I collected some of my friends together. That guy Rob I was talking about. I was like, we'll write a sketch show and we'll take it up ourselves. So then became like hell bent on doing that and creating this kind of student review, and that's what got me up to the festival for the first time. I mean, critically, it was not necessarily well received, but it was one of the best months of my life, and I was there with my 2 best friends, and we were performing every night in a shoebox venue that has subsequently been turned into a disabled toilet. That's how small it is. And it was scantily attended, and any night that it was full was probably just packed out with family, friends and people that I cajoled into doing it. We were on at 11:30 at night. We'd performed 6 sketches that were all just like rip-offs of Not the 9 O'Clock News sketches, and as I say, sub League of Gentlemen homages. And then I just did stand-up in the middle of it. Like it was a sketch show, and then I'd come out and I just did 10 minutes of stand-up, having never done stand-up before, never done a gig before. I was just like, I'm going to do some stand-up. One reviewer, Steve Bennett, who's a very respected reviewer within the comedy world.
Chortle, isn't he?
Chortle, yeah. He described it in the 1-star review that he gave of the show as Jack Whitehall comes out and does an impression of what he thinks a stand-up comedian is, and that's a fair assessment of what I was doing back then. There was absolutely no craft to it whatsoever. It was just me.
But you were a schoolboy still.
Jokes. Yeah, I was still at school.
It's a bit unkind of the.
Yeah,
but you're there. I suppose you're asking for
and that's
money.
What he did put that in the review. Like, it feels like I'm kicking puppies here, but they are at a professional arts festival, and people have paid money to come and see them.
Did it hurt? I mean, you probably weren't expecting to win the Perrier, but
yeah. I think I might have been.
You say that,
yeah.
But did it hurt? I mean,
yeah, it did. I was crestfallen, and I still, I'm better at it than I was.
Right.
But it's hard as a performer not to take poor reviews to heart. And I remember, because also around that time this website Chortle, which I was just obsessed with, because it's this portal into the world of comedy, and he is the gatekeeper.
Yes.
I became obsessed with pleasing Steve Bennett and getting a good review from him. And when he eventually 10 years later gave me a good review for one of my stand-up shows, I remember calling my mum and dad. I was like, have you seen it? And I was like, that was a moment of genuine fulfillment.